Well, hey everybody, I'm John Ritland, and here it is, my 10 favorite movies of 2019. I have seen 61 movies in total that were released in this year alone. That's a lot of movies. And there are some that were just bad and terrible, there were some that were good and great, there were some that surprised me that were like mind-blowingly great. And I'm going to talk about the best ones here, or at least, my personal favorites. And I want to thank you guys so much for the great feedback on the channel in the comments and then also on Twitter and the amount of views that you guys provided the movie reviews. It just means a lot that you love what I have to say and you're interested in what I have to say. So thank you guys for that. And since I have reviewed all these movies in individual reviews, I'm not going to go over everything minute detail. But some of you may be surprised by what the top three are. Who knows? If you follow the channel, you probably won't be, but I'm going to maybe surprise you guys with a few curveballs here. But first, let's get to the honorable mentions. It Chapter 2, really, really good. Bill Skarsgård is absolutely terrifying as Pennywise. This one was divisive. It was a little bit long. I do agree with that. But I really enjoyed this one just as much as the first chapter. Even though I did like the kid actors more than the adult actors. I think they picked the perfect, adults to play, the counterparts. I thought it was really good stuff. And then Doctor Sleep, another movie that was a little bit long, but did have some really good performances. And, maybe it wasn't as great as it could have been, but I thought as far as a pseudo-sequel to The Shining or a sequel to The Shining, however you want to list it, it was very, very good. The Perfection, a Netflix original movie that I had a lot of affection for and actually thought was a lot better than some people said. I'm not saying it was perfect. It was not living up to the title, but it was quite good. It was quite enjoyable, and I don't know, I just really, really liked it. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I really, really liked. I thought was quite goddamn good. I thought was great PG-13 horror, great atmosphere, stayed true to the source material. And Anna. Anna was a great spy movie from Luc Besson, and I really, really enjoyed that one way more than I anticipated. It's just too bad it got, just destroyed at the box office because of when it got released. But I enjoyed Anna. It wasn't great, but it was really, really good. But now we get to the top 10. And number 10 surprises even me because based on the, based on how, the advertising campaign went and how it looked in trailers, I thought it was going to be absolute shit. But number 10 is Ready or Not, and I loved this movie. I did not expect that I was going to love this. Now, there were some people that absolutely hated it, and that's fine. I can totally understand why people would hate this. For some reason, I was just really entertained by this, and way more entertained than I could have ever anticipated. It reminded me kind of a bit of Cabin in the Woods with how it dealt with, some humor and everything. Cabin in the Woods is infinitely better than this, do not misunderstand, but the movie was really, really fun, really, really good, and I just really enjoyed, the acting in general. I just thought it was very funny, very dark, and it was overall fun. I mean, and which is weird that I would put just a really fun movie on my top 10, but it's my top 10, so that's what I'm going to do. Number 9, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There were people that said that this wasn't one of Tarantino's best efforts, or that Tarantino really kind of phoned it in here. It just wasn't all that good. It was really, really good acting, though, guys. Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt. There were some other, great performances in this, but just focusing on those two leading the movie. Margot Robbie, who I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't hate Margot Robbie. I do not hate her at all. I don't see the appeal. I thought she was fine as Sharon Tate. There was some other good stuff in this movie. It just really was about characters, and it had some really good character stuff. And also a point where Brad Pitt goes on the Manson family compound. I hate to say it, but if Tarantino's only going to do one more movie, he's only going to direct 10 movies, guess what? And this was his 9th movie. Have him direct a horror movie. Because he had it right there. That was pretty fucking chilling. This was a really, really good movie. Sure, was it perfection? No. I mean, The Perfection was listed earlier. But I liked Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a whole lot and think it deserves, a lot more praise than it gets from some people. But everything's subjective. I just really, really like this. Number 8, Knives Out. Great dark comedy. It knew when to kind of make it a murder mystery and everything and go a little more serious. But it really did have that nice, dark, comedic undertone. With an insane cast I'm not going to go into right now. But it's just an insanely, layered cast, where everybody got to have their own screen time and everything, and it had a really good pace to it. Just Knives Out was really, another really fun movie. I rank it just above Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I felt this one was just a little more cohesive Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was just a little bit too all over the place at times. But that being said, Knives Out, great, great movie. You could flip these two, and I wouldn't disagree with you one bit if you decide to make your own list. I really liked Knives Out and thought it was a lot of goddamn fun. Number 7, The Lighthouse. Well, it's Willem Dafoe and it's Robert Pattinson. I kept calling him Robert Patrickson for a while. In a lighthouse, and it was black and white. And there's a mermaid girl, and it's a lot of scary, visceral imagery. And it's from the guy that directed The Witch. It's great performances. It's not for everybody. I think they could have benefited from having captions, given the fact it was taking me a bit to get used to the accents, and then, as things unravel, the accents disappear, and you kind of figure out why. But with this movie, it just had a lot of really good, what the unseen, and the unseen can get to you. The isolation can really get to you. They're isolated on this freaking little island with a lighthouse. It was just really, really disturbing. I don't know if it was as great as everybody said it was. Like, I think that there are some people that love this movie a little more than I did, obviously, but I really did like this one. I thought it was quite good. The performances were great, and the style was great. And Robert Eggers, director, does follow up The Witch very nicely here. So yeah, The Lighthouse was absolutely well worth watching in theaters. I mean, it's out of theaters now, so you have to wait for on demand, but it was really good. Now we get to number 6, Midsommar. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry. Midsommar, I believe is how it's said. This was the follow-up from Ari Aster who did Hereditary. Florence Pugh was absolutely great, absolutely incredible in this movie. The imagery was great. The fact that everybody was isolated, and it was obvious that this whole Swedish group was not really, the nice people they claimed to be. No, there was a really scary undertone about it that anybody could see coming a mile away, but it was the way they handled it with the camera work and the beautiful, beautiful cinematography and just the beautiful scenery. It was really, really good stuff, and it was very bright, and there was some scary stuff in it. But this was much more of being the ultimate breakup movie, if you really want to call it that. That's what a lot of people are calling it, but I like this one just mainly, again, for the performance of Florence Pugh and just the fact it was really goddamn good. We get to number 5, Marriage Story. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson carry this goddamn movie. There's other great cast members in this. Do not misunderstand me, but this was well written. It shows how a marriage can unravel with people that know that they are meant to, that they want to stay together for their son. They want to help their son, but they recognize they're not perfect for each other anymore, and they can't be together. And it was this unraveling of just them wanting to do things, and then lawyers get involved, and then it just gets to where they're sniping at each other, and things do come out that they don't want to come out because they want to make this as amicable as possible. And I really liked it. I don't know why some people didn't like it, but everything's subjective. I really liked Marriage Story. It was just, it was fantastic. Well acted, well written, and was a great insight on how a marriage could end, even if the people still do love each other. They recognize they're not good for each other. Number 4, Jojo Rabbit. I was nervous about this one. Taika Waititi, which I try not to laugh at that name every single time I say it, is playing Hitler. A 10-year-old's version of Hitler, where he's instead of being this vicious, vile dictator that wants to kill everybody, well, kill Jewish people, he's kind of this happy-go-lucky version of Hitler and everything. And I really liked the movie and thought it was great. Dark comedy, good, even some lighthearted comedy. But boy, when it wanted to remind you that it is taking place during World War II, it was such a jarring shift at one point with Jojo and his mother. It was really, oh boy. Yeah, that was a bit much. It was really, really good, though. This movie deserved every bit of praise it got, and I recommend you guys check out Jojo Rabbit. Number 3, Parasite. From Bong Joon-ho, or Joon-ho, or however you say it, director of The Host. This guy absolutely gets how to make movies. He did Snowpiercer and a whole bunch of others. This movie was fucking great. It's just fucking incredible. Great acting about, a family coming up from poverty, getting into a rich household, trying to take over the household, finding that there's a secret down there. And then things unravel, and boy, things get bloody at the end, and realizing that, weaving a web of lies can come back to bite you in the ass. Parasite, though, so well acted, so great. It just really is great, and I recommend you guys, check out full review if you want to see what I really thought. But the cast was very, very good, and it was the fact that the dad in this, the poor man family, that dad was the same one that was the dad in The Host. And I don't remember the actor's name right now, apologies, but it's just funny to see how he's playing a bumbling dad in that one. And then he plays a dad that's like just trying to get his kids to, hey, earn a living for us because, your mom and I can't do anything anymore. We want you guys to do something with your lives. But it was just really good. There's so many layers of this movie. It's just really, really good. Now, yes, does it get a little bit crazy with its ending? Sure. But it's also kind of logical. Kinda. In Hollywood speak. Number 2, Us. Lupita Nyong'o, if I screwed up her name, I apologize, was great in this. She, played a dual role. She played a woman that was taking care of her family, and then another woman who was part of the whole thing is it's copies of people that have been living underground in the facility, and then they got abandoned because the project got abandoned, and now the copies that are kind of mindless or whatever form, this tactical force to take over the upper world and everything. And the two Lupitas face off against each other. It's like the Spider-Man meme. No, but everybody has a copy, and these copies are tired of being shunned and everything. And they're like, nope, you know what? We're going to take over the rest of the human world and stuff like that. And it was directed by Jordan Peele, who directed Get Out, and you could tell the Twilight Zone influenced him. You could tell classic horror movies influence him. He gets horror movies, and this was great stuff. It was really, really goddamn great stuff. It was my number 1 for a while. But number 1, Us. Not Us, Waves. Because you know why number 1 is Waves? The reason I said Us is because I wanted to throw you guys off, actually. Waves. Waves is about an African-American family growing up and just the daily life that they have, and just the fact that they are doing, just doing everything they can to maintain their life, and the life spiraling out of control for their son, and having to piece their lives back together once something tragic happens with him, and just the acting, the emotion. This movie made me cry. Us did not. The reason I decided to put Waves over this, or over Us, when Us was number 1 for the longest time, it made me cry. Now, it made me bawl, but it got to me because it was such a well-acted, well-directed, well-shot, realistic portrayal of a family dealing with things spiraling out of control, like young people dealing with things spiraling out of control, like the son losing, his athletic ability due to an injury, and other things and everything, and then the daughter having to pick up pieces and stuff like that. It just was really, really... It was goddamn good. It was as close to perfect as you could get. And that's why I'm putting Waves at number 1. I did not anticipate I was going to love Waves as much as I did. I did. And that's why it's number 1. So anyway, botches aside and side notes aside, thank you guys very much for paying attention to the list. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What are some of your favorite movies of 2019? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin, and I'll see you soon.